So like I said I would, I did a little night run and gun the other night. The footage of me going over my actual gear didn't come out very well, so I'm refilming that part just here in my shed later. But yeah, we're gonna go over what I used and talk about, why I used that and such. Use the DNT Hydra HS225 thermal on my AK because I like throwing this thing on the AK. It just works really well on this platform, I feel like, as a standalone optic, and it's really easy to like kind of take on and off and whatever. So, and I have it zeroed for this gun too, so that always helps. So that was the optic mounted on a Midwest Industries side rail. That's what I used to mount optics on my AKs. Haven't had any issues with that so far. I use it on this gun. I use it on airsoft guns, all kinds of stuff. Makes it really easy to switch back and forth, which is sick. This is a Palmetto State Armory PSAK 47 GF2. I actually bought it 10 years ago. I only have maybe 2,000 rounds through it. It's run fine. I did have an extractor break on it at about 1,000 rounds, something like that. So that was unusual, but I haven't had any really like unusual wear on like, some of the internal parts that people worry about, but I'm also not at a round count where like that would start to be a concern either. So, take that for what you will. Got a Surefire G2X flashlight on here. I like these because you don't need a little pressure switch. You just mount it on the side of your support hand and push the tail cap. Real simple. They're inexpensive. I had to cut the plastic of like this little cover over the gas tube. This is from the Zukov handguard that came on this gun. Cut a little section out so that the flashlight would actually fit in there properly. It was just some plastic that I cut with a Dremel tool. And then the Zukov handguard I took off a long time ago. I fucking hated that thing. It was huge and heavy. And I put this TDI Arms fucking rail on there instead. That thing's awesome. M-Lock, it's lightweight. This literally like cut like half a pound off the gun. Still have the Zukov stock on here, and I actually recently got a cheek riser on here because I'm shooting my AK more, and the Midwest Industries side rail kind of like the optics end up kind of mounted pretty high. So put a little medium riser on there, which is great. But the Zukov stock is pretty nice because it turns your AK into a folder, even if it's not like a folder receiver in the rear or whatever. And I actually like it that it folds to the side with the safety or whatever, because then it doesn't interfere with the Midwest Industries side rail, which if the stock folded to this side, it wouldn't actually be able to fold up, which can be an issue. And then I think I have a Definitive Arms brake on here. I don't even know if they're around anymore or whatever. Again, I got this like 10 years ago. So in addition to using the thermal to actually shoot at night, obviously I have to be able to see when I'm doing the running part of the running gun. So wore my nods, helmet, all that good stuff. Maybe I'll do an overview of my helmet and what's on it at some future point, or go over a couple of my helmets maybe. But yeah, nods at nighttime, pretty basic. And then for kit, I wore a Woodland M81 BDU top that my wife actually raid modded for me a little bit. So shout out to her and her sewing skills. For my kit, I wore the Tasmanian Tiger Mark II chest rig, 4 AK mags across the front. I had a canteen in one of the side pouches that actually fits a normal USGI canteen in it, which is awesome. And then just a couple of admin items in the other admin pouch on the other side. This is one of the things that I love about the Tasmanian Tiger is the 2 admin pouches on the side are very generously sized, and you can fit a lot of stuff in there, but then it still has MOLLE across the entire front. You can put other pouches on there for more specialty needs. So yeah, not a crazy amount of gear other than just the stuff that I used for the actual nighttime, like running and shooting, the nods and the thermal and stuff. Everything else was pretty basic and straightforward. And now let's get into the running and shooting portion. Something I'd like to talk about is that DNT actually contacted me very recently and let me know that there was a software update for the DNT Hydra that I have. So they do over-the-air updates, and what they did was, one of the things they changed was some of the reticle thicknesses. They made them a little thinner based on user feedback, and then they actually added some additional contrast settings other than the like 4 that I've shown you in previous videos. So you have more options with that, and then they also just fixed maybe a couple of software glitches or something like that. Nothing I ever noticed, but maybe some people ran into something like that. So it's good to know that they're fixing things like that, and then you can download the update, and then it's like you have a whole new optic, which is pretty sick. Another cool thing of note is that DNT, for America's 250th anniversary that's coming up here on July 4th, they're doing a kind of a giveaway where if you purchase an optic or whatever, anything from their site, you get entered into a raffle where first prize is like $2,500. Second prize, I want to say, is $500, and then third is $250. So if you're already thinking about getting something like this, maybe a good time to do that. So to wrap it up, the DNT thermal, once again, did really well. I had some issues recording through my night vision with my actual night vision recorder, through my nods and stuff like that. So that's why there's some of the footage is missing from the run and gun. However, the thermal had no issues. Didn't have any problems with that. Shot great. Once again, retained 0, even though I've taken this thing on and off the gun several times. No issues there, no complaints, and this thing just keeps trucking, which is awesome.